Oh, hello, water signs. Welcome to your Mercury Retrograde reading for July 2019. I am your reader for today, Mark Angela Lyons, Mal for short. And this is my first time doing a mini-series. Oh, I'm making a mini-series for the 4 elemental zodiacal signs in groups. So 4 of them, 3 each. 3 times 4 is 12. Look, I did math for you. You're welcome. Tuning in today for these, I've been doing them with breaks in between so I can really make considerable shifts, rest. I made a lasagna yesterday, actually, while things were being edited for the fire signs. So here I am with water. So this reading is for water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Mercury signs. Now, I know you see a lot on YouTube about, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. Well, if you can look up your Venus sign, you can look up your Mercury sign. And why? Because it's Mercury retrograde. And here, not exactly my co-host, but there is Hermes, one of my gods. So let's get to it. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know how I do this. I work with 3 decks, one for each dimension of divinity. I guess that's good. So before I do this every single time, regardless of what I'm doing the reading for, whether it's for a client or a live stream or one of these vids, I tune in with my angels, my gods, and my masters to tune me to the collective. Now, when I did the Path of True Love readings for July, and I think next week I'm going to start tuning into August for y'all, sign by sign. In a way, it's a little bit easier because it's just one sign, but as you tune to the collective of that sign, sun, moon, rising, whatever, it's like plugging into this global network, and it's a lot of information. And of course, depending upon the situations, I can't read all of them, right? So I really ask the angels, the gods, and the masters through meditation to really bring me the information, the grace, and the guidance for those who are actually going to watch these things, because not everyone's going to watch them, right? Otherwise, boy, my number is going to shoot up. By the way, please like and subscribe and share, because that's what's going to help get this information out there. Remember, it's social media, not just Mark fucking does it all himself media. So thank you. So here we are looking at the water signs. Now, I'm Pisces moon, no big shock there. But it's because I'm Leo rising, it's in my 8th house, which is essentially ruled by Scorpio. So my born empath, man, whew, can I feel people's stuff, and that's created a lot of problems. But it's also taught me that empathy is not a torture. It's not a cross to bear. It's an intuitive diagnostic system, and boy, can I read a room, and boy, can I read another person. But yeah, the pitfalls of that growing up. Tricky. So tuning into this one, it was like just all of a sudden finding yourself in the middle of an ocean with no land to be seen anywhere, and nowhere could I feel the depth of that ocean, right? It was a lot. So in particular, the angels that I'm working with today are the Gabrielites, the angels of water. So we're looking at angels of emotional healing, compassion, angels of love, angels of true love, perhaps, but I feel like that may or may not show up because that's a bit more specific. This is for Mercury retrograde, about how you can get the altitude necessary to go as deep as you need to go, my water signs, to play the game, that it's happening for you rather than to you. So easy to play victim during Mercury retrograde, but I refuse to play victim to a planet that's not really going backwards, just looks like it does. But because we've got thousands of years of belief and story, and technically, really, if you look at it, psychological spell work about Mercury retrograde, we've turned it into an enemy. And he's not your enemy. I think because I am a Virgo sun, I'm ruled by Mercury, so I have a really good relationship with Hermes, Mercury, same deity, different cultural expressions. And you'll find him as Elegua if you want to go there. You'll see him as Thoth if you really want to go back. He's manifested because he's a trickster and a shapeshifter. So let's tune in here, because though Hermes, I love him so much. He's so cute. He's Uncle Hermes. Totally give me Futurama flashbacks. Not what I mean, man. the gods that are working with me today are my water gods. So, you know, I don't have statues for all of them, but I do have totems. So we've got Poseidon here, who sits in the house of Scorpio, who shares the throne with Hades, who's pretty much there all the time. He's my patron for the year. Hera sits in the throne of Cancer for me. She's my matron. So literally in this reading, I have my matron, annual patron. They choose me at Yule for a year. At Yule, they reassign me. And of course, my natal Pisces moon mother, Diana. This is a piece of, it's called blue goldstone. It's just a really, really pretty piece. Looks like stars in the night sky. So, and then with my Ascended Masters, I know there's this one guy who's been screwing with me on Ascended Master my whole life. He's really fun, a trickster, tricks me into shit all the time, and how perfect for Mercury retrograde. So let's start with the Doreen Virtue Healing Angel Oracle. Really, any of the archangelic realms are invited and welcome to give clarity, but this really feels like the angels of water: compassion, love, emotional healing, forgiveness, peace, emotional peace. The peace of mind would be the Raphaelites, the air. Oh, I feel you. So they're like saying, relax, breathe, relax, float, float, float. All right. So, my angels, please give us one card in clarity and overview of Mercury retrograde for the water signs, sun, moon, rising, and Mercury signs for July 2019, that they can catch a clue, catch a hint, catch a tip of how they can play Hermes' game of Mercury retrograde. Ooh, serenity. Serenity now! Really, really nice. Now, they've been saying to me, very different than when I do these for the True Love readings, Path of True Love readings. They're like, get the cards on the table. These are quick overviews. If you've watched any of the previous ones, I'm only pulling one from each deck, because there's going to be so much information, mental information coming for you. This retrograde, it's just so much easier to just get a couple of clarifying voices. Sometimes they all make sense together, like jigsaw puzzles that fit together. Sometimes they're mosaic pieces and they need some filler in between, and sometimes they are just three separate ways of looking at the same thing. So there is that theme. So here we go. Diana wants to take the lead. She's my mom. the face of the Divine Mother for me. You know, people wonder why I have such a strong Wonder Woman thing. And your Divine Mother's name is Diana. I used to pray to the moon when I was a kid. I used to get in trouble for it. Get back to bed. What are you doing? Praying. Yeah, Pisces is there's that cough, shifting gears, shifting guides. Pisces for me is my mystic archetype and my witch archetype. Oh, which is why I'm wearing this t-shirt today. If you look at the kitty, but it's a kitty made of like galaxies and stars. It's like holographic kitty cat, and it looks just like Milky, or my little one. He's got the big eyes. Oh, sure, they're all upstairs in the daybed. So Mama, because boy, nothing makes me feel like Mama than my three kitty cats. Oh Mama, oh Mama, I know it's gonna be the water signs that are feeling it for everybody else, huh? Particularly them moon signs, I know, and they don't know how to express it, I know. Mama, one card for them. Goddess Diana, you, though the moon may wax and wane, are always full, always watching down with compassion, with guidance, with intuition, with grace. Please, one card for the water signs for the month of July 2019 during this Mercury retrograde, so that we may play the game for us rather than it being happening to us. Oh, it's going to be a big one. Fuck. The Tower. Kali. But Kali the Awakener. I love Fiona Morgan's Daughters of the Moon Tarot because she reinterprets it from a divine feminine angle. It's a goddess deck. It really is my favorite. I've been reading it since I went to a party with a friend of mine named Ellen when I was 19 years old, and she read me on the deck. I think like that next day, I was like, gotta get it. Serenity with the Tower. Oh, that's easy, said no one ever. Thank you, Mother. But better to be forewarned is to be forearmed. Mr. Kali. Well, in this deck, you're forearmed, but we know she has more arms than that. To be forearmed. Forearmed. 1, 2, to be forewarned. Look, I'm funny, but they're funnier. I swear a lot of my humor just comes from them. Oh, the divine perspective. Altitude. This is what these readings are for, is to not just pull back and see it horizontally, but to pull up and see it attitudinally, see it from altitude, that your attitude and your altitude are linked. Bigger picture. So now my masters. My masters, you who so many used to be called gods, but as you grew and evolved, became saints, now considered masters, and it's all one thing, it's all levels of consciousness, but one in particular, who I've come to learn so much, who has sent me more signs and synchronicities as a Pisces moon than I am. Please, one card in elucidation and clarity, an overview, a tip, a trick, a hint, maybe even a little spoiler for the water signs. This Mercury retrograde, July 2019, the water signs Sun, Moon, Rising, and Mercury signs. Of this one card, nope. You're checking me. Nope. You're not going to kick it out, then it's going to be one that comes right to my hand. No, that's 2. I told you just 1. Oh, yeah, that was me. It is a little humid. I'm only humid of flesh and sweat I'm made. Hey, I'm glad my hair is hanging in there. It was doing the Superman spit curl before, sweat curl more light. Come on, I'm feeling you. One card for my water signs. Sun, Moon, Rising, Mercury. Signs for Mercury retrograde, July 2019. Irresistibility. Okay, fuck. Here we go. They're saying put your feet down. Serenity, start there. Serenity, if you don't know the Serenity prayer, it's originally from Alcoholics Anonymous, I believe. If that's not true, please comment in below. But the Serenity prayer essentially is, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Beautiful, has pulled me through a lot of shit, though I was never in a 12-step program. I have studied the 12-step program because I was directed to study the 12-step program, and incredibly helpful stuff there. But over the years, being a witch in particular, I have adapted that Serenity prayer, and on a really not great day, this is what it looks like. Oh, dearest God, Goddess, all that is, grant me the serenity to accept this crazy shit I cannot change. The courage to change the things I can, the heart, to what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling, what's behind the castle wall, what the interior world, that. Give me the courage to change some of that, the way I'm looking at it, so I can change my interior. And the wisdom to know the difference. God, Goddess, all that is, please grant me the graces that I need. So you can see it goes from a very rote prayer to something that's very heartfelt. But we don't do that when the larder is full. We don't do that when things are a status quo. And that's why we're looking at Kali, the Awakener, the card of the Tower. And you may notice for these readings, I'm pretty much doing them straight up. With round cards, you get all sorts of degrees of positive and negative. And they told me, save that for private readings with people. I do plenty of them where those fine-tune, particularly with round cards, right? Because it's not just always, negative or reversed. It can be all sorts of degrees and the turn of the card, and with other cards there. It's a very intuitive thing, positive key, reverse key for me. So that what we're looking at here really is to expect the unexpected, but that this is not as a result of somebody's decisions at all. There are things that are beyond your control. Oh, that's true for all of us, by the way. But for water signs, if you guys start taking this shit personally, it's not good. You just got to go, okay, lightning has struck, perhaps light being truth, some structure based with a faulty foundation, lies, deceptions, or just, you know, you did your best, but you didn't have all the facts, you didn't have all the information at the time, being reduced to rubble. And sure, that could be in a relationship, that could be in a job, that could be in your health. And that's the thing about reading the collective, particularly the water signs. It could be emotional breakdown. We're just getting a general overview here so that as you might start feeling these dynamics play out, you at least have a coordinate to say, okay, then it's the Tower of Babel being struck by God. The Yod, Y-O-D, it's a Hebrew letter, it's a finger of God. It's also an astrological placement. Of course I have one in my chart. Why wouldn't I have a Yod in my chart? It's like living lightning all the time. The touched by God. A friend of mine said, well, you know you've been touched by God, and that's why you're scary. You're not afraid of the same things everybody else is. I say, you know why? Because I drink holy water. Which is water touched by the gods. I have been touched by the gods, but we are the gods in embryo. Well, maybe junior high, some of us high school. I would like to think I'm at least in my graduate program at this point. Who knows? So you got to let this shit shake out. You have to let the situations be struck by lightning, because with irresistibility, it is a magnetic pull. Now, the thing about the Chuck Spezzano Love Pack, and I love the Love Pack Womp Womp cards and all. If you don't know what that means, go watch another video where I talk about it. That this is something pulling you forward, that if you can really call to the angels and say, okay, grant me, for instance, the grace of humility. That's the first grace I talk about in my book, Words of Grace. The maiden grace. Now, Diana is mother in my pantheon, but is often considered the virgin, hence her confluence with the Virgin Mary and the blue veil and the crown of stars and all of that. Grant me the maiden grace of humility, so I know that I do not know when I do not know, but I'm willing to be shown the truth. And I'm willing to be shown the truth as an invocation, because this is water signs we're talking about. Some of this might very, very well be in the outside world, but I bet you a lot of it is in the inside world, illusions, beliefs, because you're being irresistibly drawn forward to something, someone, and it is emotional, and it's not logical, and it doesn't make sense. That's why you're going to be rethinking it, but pulling not just in. Yes, we're Pisces moon, sister, I know. Pull in. Go into the castle of the soul. Raise the drawbridge. Meditate. Contemplate. But be open. Goddess position. Hit me with light. Not the light of love and light, love and light, love and light. The light that breaks chains of illusion. But this is not about bringing light into our shadow, which means to bring the truth in and try and figure out where the illusion started. Not necessary. What is shadow but an absence of light, right? This is about allowing your light to be struck by your shadow to be struck by lightning. So there's some shadow work perhaps going on, but one thing I know about the tower, it's not gradual. All right, I've used this metaphor thousands of times. Let's say someone doesn't believe in ghosts or the paranormal, and they're just like, oh, that's just, now I know all that shit's real, it's just not what people think it is. How can you be an angry spirit without adrenal glands, right? That stuff is electromagnetic contrail, usually left behind. The soul has usually moved on. Just my take on it. I've done the work in that stuff. But so someone's like, no, there's no such thing as ghosts, and then they see one, right? So all those years of all the resistance and positionality about no, it's all bullshit, and then boom, there it is. Sorry, I just had a 90s flashback. There it is. They do that a lot with me when I read, and in my life they'll just pop sound bites of song into my head, usually to make me laugh. So to allow your magnetic compass, your intuition, to draw you forward. God, I would love to throw some extra cards on here, but I'm not going to. But if you want me to, you drop me a line. Book a session, book an appointment, add me on Facebook. And anybody who wants to add me on Facebook, Mark A. Lyons in Holbrook, Long Island, New York, go right ahead. Because I'm glad to answer questions here, there, and everywhere. But a lot of the times, I'm telling you, my water sign, my wet friends, the Serenity card really does say it all here in terms of the angels of you just getting, it's like this is a divine plan in play, and part of the divine plan is shit's getting blown up. Does feel more interior yin than exterior yang, I will say that. But because there's an irresistibility, you're being called forward, perhaps to new life, but perhaps you're being called forward irresistibly towards this retrograde, to look at things, to review them, to refeel them, all of the re's, reveal, refresh, renew, reevaluate, and then release. That's a new one. Oh, not a new one, but it's a good way to look at it. Again, they're showing me I did this for the fire signs. It's like you're notching an arrow on a bow and pulling it back till July 31st. Now, when we release it, it's not going to shoot forward with that arrow velocity, but it is going to clear a path moving forward, pulling you forward. So what's on the other side of this retrograde? And then, of course, that period when it catches up to where it was before the retrograde. It's going to take a while, but you're irresistibly drawn. So go within, and if you are so guided to ask for guidance outside of yourself, reach out to those who can handle what we're talking about here, because Kali ain't no joke. But I also know, my water signs, that Kali is often a mask worn by Kuan Yin, that the tower is not about destroying you. It's about ruthless compassion, tough love, snapping you out of it. Good luck. And may you be granted the serenity that irresistibly will guide you forward through the destruction of what no longer serves. Have a good one. Thanks, Mom. But for now, my darlings, hail, farewell, and blessed be.